a Zoom account. So if you haven't set one up yet already, you need to do that. Okay. Um, so I'm hoping you have done that. And if not, you just need to go on zoom.com, set up account. They have a free, it's free. They have different levels where you can pay for them, but set up your Zoom account and then go through all of your settings, okay, to see how you want it set up. Whether you want your video, you can put your picture in there. I'm sure you guys have seen that already. You can put your picture in there and just go through the settings and have it set up how you want it. So that's the first thing, just setting up your account. Then, okay, you want to call your client that you're working with. Most likely in this case, we're going to say we're working with the buyer. So call the client and say, hey, I'd like to have a face-to-face meeting with you. So what day and time is good for you? So that's how you need to approach that first. Then set up the day and time that you want to have your Zoom call, and let them know that they're gonna get a link emailed to them, and all they have to do is press on the link. They don't really have to have a Zoom account just to press on the link, as you guys probably already know. Okay, so once you get that set up, then you want to, go through your consultation of how you can help them and how they can benefit from working with you. Now, the thing that people have trouble with is getting the buyer representation agreement signed, right? And okay, so I just shared my screen and hopefully you all can see that. Can everybody see, or can someone let me know you can see it?
Yeah.
I can see it.
Okay, great, thanks. So this is the thing, people just don't know what to say in getting clients to sign the documents, and one thing that's very important, you're not going to get them to sign if you do not read the documents. You have to pull up some of these card forms when you just, have some little extra time and just read through it, because how are you going to explain it to them if you don't read through it? You're not going to know. You can't wait until it's time for the appointment and to expect that you're going to be able to explain this to them. Okay, so a day that you don't have much to do, and most of us are in the house a lot these days, right, with everything that's going on, sit down and just read through some of these forms, this one, and especially the purchase agreement. So you want to do that. Okay, so like I said, so you set up your Zoom meeting time, you got on with them, you're going to speak with them, and then you learn how to do these things like share your screen, and you want to explain the document, the buyer representation agreement. And really, in a nutshell, you don't have to really touch base on every single point here. You can go through the paragraphs and explain it all to them. But initially, you can say something just as simple as, this is the document that we use for you to hire me so that I can work for you. This is how you hire me to go to work for you and find you a property. So just as the listing agents have their listing agreement signed with the seller, just look at this. This is your buyer listing agreement, basically. Okay, so this is how you hire me to work for you. Then after that, you can go through and explain the basics. And actually, it's mostly all pre-printed. There's not a lot here to complete or to fill in. Of course, you're going to have the buyer's name, the company, the beginning date of when you will start working with them. And, like I put today's date, the day that I'm speaking with them. And then I went 3 months out, right? Because maybe you want an exclusive. So don't forget right here, it's exclusive agreement to work with them, okay? That means both of you two are agreeing to work together, okay? So you're working with them exclusively. Now, if they happen to have a problem working exclusively, and there have been buyers who have been honest and who have said, you know what, I really don't want to tie us down because, maybe you might not find the property, or we may go out and see another property and another agent might end up helping us, or maybe in a whole entirely different area, then you should say, well, guess what? I actually have a non-exclusive agreement. We do have a non-exclusive agreement. And I will tell you the difference in these two agreements. Okay, so this is the exclusive one. And if you go down to paragraph 3, where it talks about the compensation, because this can be used whenever a buyer is actually going to pay you, the buyer's agent. Okay, in the non-exclusive agreement, it is almost exactly the same as this, but paragraph 3 about compensation is not in there. It's taken out. So it's not a huge difference in the form. It's just exclusive and non-exclusive. And so, okay, so going back up here again, really, if you just look quickly, this is the only information I really had to enter, and see everything is kind of pre-printed. I threw in a 90 days there, but let's just go back up. So you have your dates, like I said, the location. If you want to put the city or the county, I think that's better than putting to be determined. I think you should, try to narrow it down to something. You always have to think if, something happens and we end up having to go to mediation or something, and, you just want to try to be as specific as you can, obviously. Or you can name the different cities here. If you said, Hawthorne, Redondo Beach, San Pedro, Torrance, whatever, if you wanted to just list a bunch of cities that they're looking at. So LA County is, obviously big, broad area that we put here, so it's covering a lot.
Kim?
Yes.
Can you use more than one county? Like, say they want to look in Riverside and Los Angeles County?
Yeah, you can. It says location. I said LA County, Orange County, Ventura County. These are the 3 counties they're looking into buy.
Okay.
You can, right? And remember, they have to sign and agree to it. So if you put that there and they sign it, you and this buyer have this agreement.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Now the price range, I would definitely put a range here, and you can go a little bit lower than maybe what they initially said. Let's say they got pre-approved for $650, right? I still might want to put $600. What if this house comes up or the price drops? There's a decrease in the price, and so I might go a little bit less and a little bit above than what their range is. You got that? Okay, so again, I just want to go back and kind of reiterate, you're just explaining that this is just our commitment to work together. And they might ask you questions. What happened if I sign this and another agent comes along and we want to work with this other agent? Now, these contracts are binding agreements, right? These contracts were made by attorneys, and this is a binding agreement. Okay, between the brokerage and the client. So if they want to be let out the contract, we'd have to agree to do that. So you don't have to. I mean, my motto is I don't want to work with someone who doesn't want to work with me. So if they didn't want to work with me, I probably would just, let them out and be done with it. But initially, just explaining to them, well, this is an exclusive agreement. And, if you sign, then technically, I'm supposed to do the commission based off my efforts of helping you. Because I don't want you guys to think that signing this form, and let's say if you don't really do too much work and they start working with another agent who has shown them 5 properties, they have tons of emails, text messages, a lot of conversation. You may not win this argument down at the arbitration down at the board, okay? Because we've seen that. It's not getting this signed and then thinking you automatically are going to be paid a commission if another agent, put in an offer and they close with. So you really do have to do your work. You have to do your work. You're stating everything that you're going to do with them, okay? So, okay, so again, just going back, oh, sorry, does somebody have a question? No?
Yes, for location, can we specify like Southern
Can't hear
California?
you. I can't hear you.
For the location,
Uh-huh.
can we specify Southern California?
Now that's very broad. Southern California, yeah, you can. Basically, there's no rule right here. All they did was put location. That is a location. That is, so you can almost put anything here, really. But again, the client has to agree to it. I would say if you're going to put something like that, make it clear to the client. Say, hey, for the location, you guys are really open to several areas here in Southern California. Maybe they are. Maybe they're open to, just so many different areas. They're not looking for a specific place. They're more focused on the type of property. Then yeah, you have a reason to put a more broad area here. So you can, to answer your question, yes, you can put something there. And then you notice you have right under that, there's a line that says other. If you want to put something different there. I say put something rather than to be determined. I've seen a lot of agreements that had to be determined initially. But I think now people are starting to put either the actual area or LA County, Orange County, or the cities. That's pretty much what they're doing. And then you notice on number 2, they have the option or the following specified properties only. You might have a client that said, I'll sign, but only if you can maybe get our offer accepted on, on the property on Loman Street, or the one in Manhattan Beach. So if they're only allowing you exclusive agreement on a particular property, sometimes they do that. Okay, then you can put the property address here. It says the following specified properties only. This is on number 2. Then you would put the property address here because they're saying only on this property. And also that's another way. That is another way to get it signed, you guys. If anyone is having, or actually any buyer is having to hang up about signing this form, there's different ways it can be used. And don't forget about the non-exclusive. If they won't sign the exclusive, then get the non-exclusive signed if you can. You can say, oh, no worries. Actually, we have a non-exclusive agreement that you can sign. So it's limited. Again, it's very similar to this form. Number 3 is taken out of here as far as compensation. Was that a question? Oh, sorry, I heard something. So that's what you can do with that. But again, really the main point for this webinar is not so much going over this form. Again, explaining this form in a nutshell to make it easier. Okay, you do need to sit down and read through all this, but to make it easier initially, you can say, this is how you hire me to work for you, to start looking at properties for you. And then, like I said, you can go through and start explaining it here a little bit, okay? But initially, that's how you can pretty much start with your conversation. And then after that, after you've gone through it with them, then you want to let them know, okay, now that we've gone through it, do you have any questions? And if not, then I will send it to you via DocuSign or ZipLogic so that you can sign it electronically. Okay? So this is your whole thing. This is about your virtual meeting with your buyer, and then you can send the form electronically. And so this whole thing was done, without an in-person meeting. Is there a question so far? No questions? Okay. So again, going before that, so of course the agency disclosure does print out with the form, okay? And you should know how to explain this. You can refer to the section here, buyer's agent, right? You have to be honest and fair and truthful in your real estate dealings, right? Exercise reasonable skill and care. And so you can refer them to this paragraph and just let them know this is a required form. We also have to have this form signed before discussing any real estate services. So it prints out with the form. You actually will go over this one first, of course, and then you'll go down to the buyer representation agreement. Okay, so just want to recap this a little bit from the beginning. You set up your Zoom account, right? Set up all your settings. Call the client, okay? Ask the client, because of everything that's going on right now, we are doing meetings by virtual experience, and I'd like to know if I can set up a day and time to have an in-person, I'm sorry, not in-person, face-to-face meeting with you online. It's real simple. You'll get a link through your email, and all you do is click on that link and we'll be able to see each other and we can have a conversation. Okay, so that's how you can just start it, like I said, and then start going over the form with them. Okay, so that was just to recap that beginning again. Now, 2A talks about the agency relationship and the disclosure, just like you have your agency disclosure. Going down to, okay, so right here, excuse me, 2C, I'm sorry, 2C, this one, under, number 2C, but number 2, that's a 2. Okay, single agency only. This is when the broker's firm basically only does like the listings. And then you look at the box underneath it, it has or, number 2, broker's firm does not list property. Okay, so this is when, basically you won't have any listings to send them. So this is not us. And so that's why neither one of these boxes should be checked. Okay, because we do list, we buy and sell, right? We pretty much, we do it all. So you wouldn't be checking one of these boxes. Okay. And, just going to go through it all. And again, number 3 is only if the buyer is paying you compensation as the buyer's agent. And most times this is not filled out, but it has happened before. Maybe there was a really low ball listing. Client really wanted it. Maybe the buyer doesn't mind paying a 1% or something. But most often you're just getting the commission that is on the MLS. Okay. Now I was talking about this a little bit earlier. Actually, right here, C2. If within 90 calendar days after expiration of the representation period, what is the representation period? It is up here on page 1, your beginning date and your end date. Again, I did this one for 3 months. This is saying we have an exclusive agreement for 3 months only. Okay. Now after that, if you need more time, you can do a new one. If they're willing to sign a new one and give you another shot at it, you can. But this is a representation period. Okay, so basically, if within 90 calendar days after the expiration of the representation period, okay, or any extension thereof, buyer enters into an agreement to acquire property, which property broker introduced to buyer. Okay, so let's say they get into they get under contract, they're buying another property with another agent. Okay, within 90 days after your agreement with them expired. Okay, then the obligation to pay commission pursuant to this paragraph shall arise only if prior to or within 3 calendar days after expiration of this agreement or any extension thereof, broker gives the buyer a written notice of those properties which broker introduced to buyer. So, want to be clear on this one. This is important. This is important. So, let's say, going back up, let's say you show the buyer all these properties and you've gone the 3 months basically, right? Now September 1 for our date up here. And nothing happened. They didn't buy those properties that you showed them. So that paragraph that we just read down here says you need to provide them with a list of the properties you showed them. So, okay, I showed you the property in Manhattan Beach on such and such street. Just list all the addresses of the properties. And you have to do that. So, make sure you do it, because if you did not, this paragraph is not going to help you if they end up working with another agent. Any question on that? If so, blurt it out. Okay. Timing of compensation. Well, okay, again, this is going to be only if, they're going to be paying you or something. And lots of times they're not really. So, okay, internet advertising. So again, you're reading all this, right, prior to, so you can explain to them. So buyer acknowledges and agrees that properties presented to them may have been marketed through a virtual tour on the internet, permitting potential buyers to view properties over the internet, or that the properties may have been the subject of comments or opinions of value by others on internet blogs or other social media sites. Neither the service provider nor broker has control over who will obtain access to such services or what action such persons might take, and broker has no control over how long the information concerning the properties will be available on the internet or social media sites. So what does this paragraph basically say, right? That there are a lot of properties out there in social media. We don't know how accurate or true they are. We're only going by what the buyer is seeing on there, and we have no control of the information. Okay, so we will do our best to find out what's going on with those properties. If your client says, hey, I saw this on Facebook, someone advertised, can you check it out for me? Or it says this and that, and we're like, well, we don't know how true it is. I need to check it out. So just letting them know we don't have control over what others are putting out there on the internet. So see, if you read it, you can break it down that way. Pretty simple. Broker authorizations and obligations on paragraph 5 here. And basically, see, the buyer is authorizing the broker to locate and present selected properties to the buyer. So again, this is a binding agreement. We both have responsibilities in this agreement. You as the agent and the buyer, which we'll talk about here also, the scope of broker duty, your duties that you will perform. Okay, and look at right here in the middle, to investigate the property through inspections, investigations, tests, surveys. So again, it's a binding agreement. It's not just the buyer has something to do. You have your duties and obligations as well. And then here's the buyer's obligations. So that's why I told you it's a binding agreement. You both have to agree to what's set out here in the document. And then right here, of course, you have your hold harmless agreement, which is pretty much in every legal document. Buyer agrees to indemnify, defend, and hold broker harmless from all claims, disputes, litigation, judgments, costs, and attorney fees arising from any incorrect information supplied by buyer or from any material issues that buyer fails to disclose in writing. Okay? That's your hold harmless agreement. D is great. They always think they're putting this in there a lot. Buyers advised to read the attached buyer's inspection advisory for a list of items and other concerns that typically warrant inspection. Okay, and it's checked here because the buyer inspection advisory attaches to the document. Okay, attorney's fees, pretty self-explanatory. When you get here to mediation, as you guys should probably know, we agreed to mediate first. They used to didn't have it that way, and now everybody is basically agreeing to mediate first if there is a dispute. One good thing about mediation, it costs less, so that's good. And that's basically just how you explain it. And if they're good with that, you would ask if they have any questions at this time. If you don't have any questions, then I'll be happy to send this document over to you. You can sign it electronically, and then I can start looking for properties for you. So that's how you explain that one. Any questions, guys? You ready to call your clients and tell them you want to on a face-to-face meeting so you can start getting out there and searching for properties for them, right?
Oh, yeah.
Are you the only one, Richard, that's ready?
Yeah.
So there
Very-
is a $100 application fee.
There is a $100.
Oh, somebody is on
Right.
another call.
Around that, and then there's also the MLS dues. So
Oh,
I'll have
okay.
to pay that too, and
Let
that
me mute that.
was $125.
Okay, sorry about that. I had to mute them. Okay, so if anyone has any question, let me know. I see you, Elise. How are you? Jamie. Thank you guys for joining. If you have any questions about anything, please let me know, okay?
Kim, do you post your these Zoom meetings on Facebook so we can go back over them later?
This one will be, yes. The last one, it got all messed up. We didn't post that one. This one, yes, will be posted. I'll be sending it to Holland and she'll post it on the site, okay?
All right. Okay,
So-
thank you. You're always very consistent, and you go over the same thing, and it's pretty much the same information every time. It's really great. It's very consistent. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you're not going to get it the first time. You know what I mean? You're not going to get it all the first time. You have to go over it a few times. There's no way you're going to read a document and remember all that. Just look at that BPPP document, the new one that's come out, right? 8 pages long. We are not going to read that one time and remember everything. So yeah, you gotta go over them quite a few times. So that's why I said read over this, and so that you can speak with your client, intelligently about it and sound informative, and so you know what you're talking about. But again, the main purpose of this webinar was so you guys can actually start making those appointments and feel more comfortable with doing that. So I want to know, I'm hoping you all have Zoom accounts set up, your own, not just clicking, go into a meeting. Richard, I want to ask you, do you have a Zoom account?
Well, I will after I get off of here with you.
Yes. And you know what? Play around with it. You'll be so surprised. Go on to YouTube. They got a whole slew of things how to use Zoom. Okay, how to change your backgrounds, how to have like a really great Zoom meeting. They have tutorials.
If you look at my background right now, I'm in outer space. So.
I see. With no outer space gear on. I see
I'm
that.
tough.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so, and they have tutorials that are, showing you how to work all this up here. I don't know if you guys can see that as well, or you only see the document. All the items here about stopping the video. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll show you all that. It's all on YouTube. And trust me, I know, because I've watched, because I had to learn some of this myself. Yeah, we're about to run out of time here. Again, you guys just email me. So next time we'll try to do something similar as far as just speaking with the client. We're always talking about the forms. You need to know, what to say to them, right? Because you need to start getting some appointments. You guys have been looking at a lot of documents and, how do we fill out this document? Great. But now you need to get to that next step. Call those clients up. Start making these face-to-face meetings, okay?
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right. Have a good one. Email me.
Thank you,
text
Kim.
me,
Have a
call-
wonderful day.
Yeah,
All right.
Miss Kim.
Oh, you too. See you guys.